Hello, it's Stefane. I am very, very happy to be here today on this Sunday, because Sunday for me is self-care day. And I'm committed to communicating inspiration to others, especially women and mothers. But recently, in the last few hours, realized that men need to be inspired to self-care as well. My websites are stefanajohnson.com, that's my business website, and Self-Care Expert, selfcareexpert.com. By no means am I an expert at self-care, but my intention in putting out the Self-Care Expert communication is that we can all step into that place of becoming more of an expert at self-care. And I believe that the concept around, especially for women and mothers, I don't know if it's deliberately put on us or that we just have somewhere accepted this, that it is selfish to care for ourselves. But that is a very false idea and unworkable, especially in terms of all that we do as women and mothers. And because I'm not a man, I can't specifically say for men, but I would think that for men, it is probably true as well, that taking the time to care for yourself, and that can look like whatever it is for you: eating well, getting a massage, sleeping. These are important pieces to caring for your vessel that is here to express its magic and its music and the unique gifts that you bring. Certainly they won't blossom as much as they could if you were able to care for that and nurture that, just like with any seed or plant. If we don't nurture it, it tends to wither. I will be opening my Akashic records every Sunday, and I will share what insight I get from that. And I will also say that self-care is a practice, just like what I teach in the pilot method. Practicing presence, it's not something that we check off our list and we're done forevermore. It is something that must be practiced. So self-care and practicing that self-care is something that I hope that you will find within your day to implement, something that brings you closer to a place of wholeness within yourself, so that you can then go out and express and give of your divine self. So I'll be quiet for a few moments. For those listening on the Blog Talk Radio, I will be quiet as I do my opening prayer, and then I will be opening my record specifically to ask for assistance, not only for myself. I am definitely intending to request assistance for myself, but also for planetary healing when it comes to this concept. And so we do acknowledge the forces of light, asking for guidance, direction, and courage to know the truth as it is revealed for our highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to us. Help me to know myself in the light of the Akashic records, to see myself through the eyes of the Lords of the Records, and enable me to share the wisdom and compassion that the masters, teachers, and loved ones of me have for me. The records are now open. I have been struggling with the pace of my life, at first I was going to just give the window from when I had my son, but it jumped earlier to my childhood. And so I'll just scan forward from my childhood of running and trying to escape the concepts of trauma and the abuse or the needs not getting met in my childhood, and also for me not being able to stand up for myself or be strong in the boundaries. Okay, boundaries is a key word that's just come up. And coming up to when my child was born, my first son was born, and knowing that the expression of myself was so important, and the loss 9 months before of my father in the fire. So this is very interesting. I'm giving background information first, so for myself as well as the records, to look at what I'm needing help with so that we all can benefit. I'm going to write some notes down as they're coming very quickly. So boundaries is a crucial piece, and the other piece is that when someone has left our lives, whether in death or in relationships that have ended, there is a need to continue, or a continuation on, of their existence in some form or another. It's almost as if there was a need there that they held or they filled, and that it was then removed or taken away when they left, whether in death or in just space. So they removed themselves in whether physically from the environment through death or through other circumstances. So for me, it was death with my father, and but I'm seeing that there's much others, that it's not just the physical death of the body, but others where they have removed themselves. So then we feel a need to replace that. And there's fear there. So let me see where are we taking this. So boundaries was a key piece. So part of boundaries, and these are patterns that human beings have established as a not established, and in fact have substituted them with other more ineffective patterns. Patterns for well-being have been subjugated by patterns of not destruction, but an urge to expand oneself, but at the expense of the self. And also to accomplish a fulfilling of something not only greater than ourselves, but something from our past. And if we look at time, we can look at it and think, well, it's linear. But it is not. It is all here in the moment, in the now. Unless we can so it's not linear. And it comes from the way we think. So this is very interesting. Self-care appears to have become a luxury, when in fact it is a necessity. And I know for myself, I have accumulated many, many, many duties or actions or activities or things to get accomplished throughout a day, whereby I exclude myself from that being cared for. The most important thing that I can do on a daily basis, besides love my children and show up from a loving place, and how I show up from a loving place is doing my 20 minutes of silence, meditation. 20 minutes is arbitrary, but for me, that shifts my whole axis of where I'm operating from when I go into a place of silence and wholeness and quietness and separate from the chitter chatter of the mind and the noise of the patterns that are in play right now on the planet. So why is it that we do not take the 20 minutes to get quiet and to invest in ourselves? Or why is it that we don't take the time to nourish our bodies with food, and appropriate food, not coffee and Red Bull and things that are, again, substitutes for self-care, substitutes for nourishment, interesting. So it continues to be a pattern. Look at this as a pattern of a pattern of substituting for what we truly need, for what our deeper needs are. And it goes back very far. So when we substitute with artificial, there was something there, the word that escapes me, artificial sustenance, our needs are not getting met. Our deeper needs are certainly not getting met. And so this cycle perpetuates where not only are we not getting the care that we need for ourselves, we are then not able to give the care to the others in the way of our gifts and our patterns and our jobs, our love, our expression of our truth, our expression of our joy to the world. And our world may be mother to children. Our world may be bagging the groceries at the grocery store. Our world may be running a country. Our world is not getting the wholeness of who we are when we are still back trying to get old needs met with artificial sustenance or a substitute for what our deeper needs are, whether it's basic nurturing. And we know that the core needs of any human being physically would be sleep and food and air and water and sunshine. And from there then a sense of power, which is control of our own destiny, our sense of life, our freedom, our ability to know our boundaries and to have that sense of how far we can stretch ourselves and that we can express ourselves in that. So what else is there that we need to know about self-care on this day? That it's left for the rich, and not just rich in monetary, that it is selfish. So selfish and rich, I think, is a long pattern that's been held in place. And so can we clear that? Yes. First the recognition and the accepting of that. And then I see the competition. So there's competition that occurs within human beings. And this competition, especially with women. And I don't know that it's, I mean, that even for myself as a woman, I see the competition creep up, that competition energy. And coming from a place of competition is not joyful for me. But when we come from that place of creation, from our source, from our gifts, then I come to that place where it is okay, and I can be okay caring for myself. And caring for myself also means caring for my environment and what my environment looks like. From my physical environment, my physical body, my internal physical body, from my purse to my space. And so where is that showing up in your world for how your space looks like? Not only your space, that's the thoughts that are taking up space in your mind, in your heart, the sounds. What are you accepting and being willing to have come in to supplant what your true needs are for self-care in thoughts that come in? Are you allowing them? So this comes to the boundaries now. Thank you for that. The boundaries, I like to acknowledge the records, and I do realize that an outside observer could be looking at this saying, this is absolutely bizarre. And I understand that, and I have compassion for that. And I also acknowledge the fact that we are connected with much divine around us, and it is our gift. It is an essential gift to, when we are ready to be open to it, because there is much to be garnered from this realm, and I'm so grateful for it. So let me go back to the boundaries now. Boundaries, the boundaries that we set for what we allow in our ears, in sound, what we allow to pass through our line of vision in our seeing, what we allow in our environment physically. Big pieces for me here. Big pieces for me, as far as I have felt it has been my duty to accept things, to not accept, to put up with, to tolerate, to it's a term that I learned from my dogmatic training in a religion that I was involved with for a very long time. Granting beingness to something that I would not otherwise allow in my space. And I wonder how much now we all do that, because we compromise with our own values and our own integrity. And before that even, we don't know what our own stand is. What is it that we stand for? And what is it we will stand against? And knowing that is key. Thank you, Mani, for that. So there's a lot of preliminary work that I'm seeing here, and so what I'll do is I'll sketch out some notes for the next few weeks to see how we can establish maybe a few guidelines as far as creating some preliminary work on boundaries, learning boundaries for ourselves and creating them. And I encourage you to take some moments for yourself and establish what is important, what you value, and what you will stand for and what you will absolutely not stand for. That is not just in what you see and what you hear, what you take in, what you take into your soul, your body, your mind, your heart, and your space. You know, our space is not just here in our physical. We have levels of space that come out, and when it has been encroached upon through whether it's violence, verbally, emotionally, physically, even through the television, even through our medium that we use so much now of these computers, there's still things that come into our environment, and we know we're affected by them. We know our energies shift. So what are we allowing in? What are we compromising within our own self-care? Because that is the truth of self-care. Self-care includes that. That is the most important piece of self-care, is to understand that our boundaries of what we are allowing into our space. And are we defining our own space? And are we allowing ourselves to define our own space? Or have we been running on a script from a childhood circumstance that's been left in play? Okay, so I'll do some clearing. Anyone that wishes to receive this and is open for this, you will receive this healing. And anyone who just say no thank you, that's fine. And so we'll send this out, and anytime that this is viewed or played, that the intention is that it will be received, it will be shared and given openly. And so it is. Two more pieces I want to go over as they have come up around self-care, and it comes back to this concept around women supporting women. It has been very strong for me in the past few months, and I've been very focused on that, especially because I've been focused on all the interviews I've been doing with the politicians, the female politicians. And now I see that I see and I feel the pain in the masculine energy of the planet that feels abandoned and betrayed in some way. And there is, the word was scared, so fear, but the scaredness, the scared child. And so I will send whatever healing we can do from there to recognize that as such, and to open that and send that out to the universe. And so it is. We are all unique gifts in every human being. Such beautiful and unique gifts we have within us. And when I say that, and I put that out there, in that moment I can see the energy of wanting to stop that not within me, as I'm observing this in the energetic field, of wanting to stop that, the gifts, and that there is resistance there. There is resistance to showing up completely and being fully who you are and expressing your depth and your truth. And to admit something honestly here, would be that I would not show up here, that I would not do this, but I'm committed, and I will stay to this commitment for the next 30 days. I can't guarantee after that, but I'm committed for the next 30 days to show up here and be this and be authentic and express this and share my gifts in whatever capacity, even if that means whatever it means, whatever you imagine it to mean, whatever I imagine it to mean, because it's not what I imagine it to mean. But there is so great of resistance for us as human beings to show up as our truth. And I find it interesting and fascinating on one hand, and sad, deeply, deeply sad on the other. And so I will work on that through my records and find out if there's anything that I can do and peel off some more of those layers of resistance. Meanwhile, I will send out the Qigong healing that I do, and I will ask for the gifts of the masters and teachers if there's anything else. Be brave. When it gets tough, fight back. And fight back from that place of, it's more of a playful fight back. Come on, I'll fight you. It's more of a playful, and I'm willing to fight back that ego that comes in, that wants to stop, and that shows up as resistance from me showing up as who I am. This may not look like what you think it's supposed to look like, but it is what it is. And you are what you are, and you are who you are. That reminds me of Popeye. I am that I am, and that's all that I am. And for now, I am complete. Peace and blessings.